everyone. I always start talking too soon. Okay, so hello everyone and happy Sabbath to you. Welcome to The Clear Word with Nicolette. I hope your week went well. My week was so crazy. I worked so hard last week. I don't know if I'll be able to do another week like that in the near future at all. So I try to keep my word, and then sometimes I get really, I don't know, it really bites me in the where. And so I was supposed to work for my preceptor because he likes the way that I work. So he asked me to come and help him. One of the doctors there, he was leaving, and he was like, "Can you come help me out for a week?" And I was like, "Sure." And I was happy to because I like the experience and he's a great guy. And then my coworker resigned the position for the night shift. Well, her schedule changed, and so then I worked for her. And then I also work in the morning, so I was working morning, evening, and night, and I had like literally 2 to 3 hours, not even 3, 2 hours, 1 to 2 hours of sleep the whole week. I would just get home, shower, take a nap, and go right to work. You guys, it was so hard. But I made it, okay? And I'm glad to be here. What happened this week? Not much. I was just so tired this week. Like, I hardly did anything. I think I did like 2 things where business is concerned, which I will share in my journey to becoming a millionaire in another chat, video, whatever, okay? Anyway, let us get into the word, okay? So what shall we see today? Okay, so I came to Psalms 80 verse 12, and it was 11. It says, "Like a huge vine, we reach out and covered the hills, but to our neighbors, we looked like an invincible cedar." I'm going to have to read before and after. "So you made room for us among the nations. You helped us become rooted and then grow, and soon we covered the land. Like the huge vine, we reached out and covered the hills, but to our neighbors, we looked like an invincible cedar. In the west, our branches reached to the Mediterranean Sea, and the east to the Euphrates River." Okay, so this here is talking about the reach, I guess, the way God blesses you and what people see when God touches your life and pours his everlasting blessings on you, okay? So it says, "Like a huge vine, we reach out and covered the hills, but to our neighbors, we look like an invincible cedar." So in this, I could say, and I've always said this, like, when I have to do something on stage or for people to see whatever, I usually take my time to practice and do my due diligence. But before I go and present whatever it is, I always ask God, to fill in every gap, to, help me while I do it so that people do not see my faults, right? And God does that. Like, God allows people to see things that are not really there. Because it's not really you who's doing it, but it is him who's doing it through you. And that's why I never think anything that I do is my own talent or gifts. I always believe it is God who's working in me. So in this instance, the way that they're talking is that all the prowess that the Israelites saw, the reach that they had, the fruitfulness that they bore, and all the good that the other countries could see, they thought they were invincible. Even though they were still humans, they were weak, they had faults, they had problems and issues in and of themselves and individually and collectively. But the people who were looking at them could not see those weaknesses. And that's what God does for us. When we ask him to cover us, when we ask him to work in us, work through us, do things using us, he allows people to see the greatness that he is in us, right? So that they cannot see the Nicolette. that is faulty, that has issues, that has problems. But they see this beautiful, elegant, eloquent, I don't know, talented person. But deep down, I have every issue, every problem, every weakness, every fear that everyone else has. But you might not see it just because God is covering me, right? So we need to ask God to cover us more, so that, and then realize that because He is covering us, we don't have to be afraid of what people see. We don't have to be afraid of what people think, because truly, they're not thinking what you are thinking. They don't see you in the light that you see yourself when you are a child of God. People think of you in a greater light than you imagine when you are covered by the blood. Like, I get sad sometimes and I have issues sometimes and whatever, but my coworkers and people around me, they're like, oh my gosh, no, Nicolette is this and Nicolette is that. And I'm like, if you only knew, okay? And so be covered by God and realize that you have so much potential, and God allows people to see the potential in you and not the faults and the problems that you are focused on. Give those problems to God. Ask Him to cover you. Ask Him to fill you. Ask Him to supplement all of your defiances, your faults, your issues, whatever, and He will. And He won't allow you to be embarrassed, right? Like when I'm on the pulpit and I'm doing a welcome or I'm presenting something, like I am so scared sometimes and I'm shaken up, but I'm like, God, I prayed and I did my best, so I'm going to stand here and you're going to shut the ears of everyone so they don't hear anything that's wrong, and all they hear is the positive. All they see is the good. All they receive is greatness. And yeah, when I get off the pulpit, people are like, oh my gosh, it was so good. They didn't know that I was cowering inside, right? And that's what God does for you. So ask Him to fill you, and don't be jealous of what people are doing. Don't be like, don't look at what others have and be like, I wish I had that. You have your own. You have your own grandeur. You have your own talents. You have your own gifts. You have greatness in people's eyes, but you have to be able to embrace that. You have to be able to welcome your strengths. Look at the things that you've done well, and realize that God has helped you do those things. And if He can help you do those things, He can help you do more. Okay? So I hope that God allows you to seem invincible in others' eyes, that He shows people that you are under His care, that you are under His ruling, that they cannot come at you just anyway. And it's funny because when I think about that, I think about in high school, I had this one guy who was speaking to one of my teachers, and she came to me and she told me what he said, and I guess he was interested in me or whatever. And then she was like, so go speak to her. And he was like, nah, nigga, this look like one of those girls you could just walk up to just like that. Like, you gotta come correct. And that's right, you better come correct when you come to talk to me, because I'm a child of God. I am a princess. I'm not to be taken lightly. I have great value in the eyes of God, and therefore in my own eyes. So I'm not gonna let just any guy walk up and think that they can mac just because you're a guy. No, I don't need a male, okay? I am a female, and I am wonderfully made by myself, okay? Yeah, I can have an Adam, all right? But I am Eve, all right? So, meaning, I'm just as gorgeous. I have so much value that Adam sinned for me, okay? Okay? Every female is an Eve. Every female has a worth. Every female is invincible, okay? Every male is the same. So once you accept and you receive and you embrace your invincibility, right? The one that God gave you, not because you didn't do it by yourself. God allowed it to happen. God allows people to see you in, my nose is running, guys. To see you in such a great light, right? And it's not anything that you do per se, even though yes, you do try your best, but honestly, nothing you do can impress anyone. But God, when God works in you, everything you do is blown out of proportion, because God likes to show off. Let's just be real. Everybody knows, the flood and every great disaster out there, that's huge. And yes, God allows it because He has His hand on things. And when he, in the same way, when he does miracles too, God causes great, like with the tsunami, they found this little child or baby swaddled in some brush or something, like whatever. It's like, what? A person falls out of the 4-story building and survive. Like, God, he wants to show off, but he cannot show off by himself sometimes. He wants to show up through you, if you allow him. But believe me, if you don't allow him, he'll show off with the animals, he'll show off with a rock and with nature and with whatever allows him to. Okay, so if you want to be the best, if you want to be great, if you want to be seen invincible, you have to be in the arms of God. You have to be in his hands. You have to allow him to work through you. Okay, I'm talking about when you have defeats, when things happen to you and people think you should be wiped out. People think you should be crumbled, or you should have crumbled, or you should have fallen, you should have stayed home and never come out of the house. No! God has me, okay? And that will not crumble me. I am invincible in God. Like, let's just be real with what happened with Kobe and his wife and his, like, that's a devastating thing. And that woman, I think 2 days later came out and she spoke like, I don't know how many people could have the strength. And I don't know if she's a Christian, but it takes a little God, a lot of God. But it takes God to come into someone's heart and allow them to live through that and not commit suicide the next day. I'm not saying that she's, like I said, I don't know her faith, I don't know her religion, I don't know anything about her, but I feel like even though people are like, oh my gosh, where is God and why did God allow this? God is still here. The devil does things too, and God does allow it, but he knows that you're able to handle it with his strength, right? And like I said, I'm not going to say any more about that because I know that was a devastating thing and it was just too much. And a lot of people have different opinions on that, but I still believe God was there and is still there and will always be there for everyone who was in that situation, in that airplane. The angels were there. They were watching. God did not, all of a sudden God disappeared because a helicopter crash. The devil will do things to shake you and uproot your faith and cause you to lose hope. But God is saying, listen, in everything I am there. If Job can say, God giveth and he taketh away, let his name be praised, we can say it too, and she can say it. And by the grace of God, she's still alive. She has her 3 children, and she can pursue, she can move on by the grace of God. And I will still say it. I don't care who believes in me or who agrees with me or who believes in what I'm saying, but that is my belief. And once you're able to embrace that, it's easier. Okay? Because like, what is she going to do? Like, what is there to do? There's nothing else to do. Like I always say, like my aunt says too, like, if I don't believe in God, who else am I going to believe in? Like the devil? Does that even make sense that you would believe in devil? Like it doesn't even make sense for you to believe in anything else or for you to rely on anyone else because it's like, it's not going to help you if you, I don't know. Anyway, I just don't think it does. That's my opinion. I'm done with that. Okay, moving on. You can be invincible if you allow God to help you to become invincible. And sometimes it's not even in your eyes because they weren't invincible in their own eyes. They were invincible in the eyes of those who are looking at them, okay? People who watch you, they see what you do. They hear what you say. So you have to be very careful what you do and say so that you can be a testament or be a testimony for someone so they can wonder like, how is it that you're still standing? How is it that you're still smiling? How is it like, oh my gosh, with all that I know that happened to this person, to this nation, to these people, how is it? Like us black people, let's just be real. You know how many things happen to black people? And I believe we are the most devout Christians out there. Even though a lot of us are doing who knows what, but every single one of us is always talking about thank you, Jesus. Not everyone. Okay, let me not exaggerate. But a lot of us, through slavery, through segregation, through whatever, like, it's like the weirdest thing for me to understand how your slave master, right, is beating you up and telling you that Jesus told him to do it, but you have enough faith in God because of what you read that you're like, no, he couldn't have done that. He couldn't have allowed it. And then bring that to the generations later and still be like, God is good. Like, you guys, I don't understand, but we black people, we like, yo, for real, the Jews are saying, let's just be honest, right? After the Holocaust, they shouldn't believe in God at all. Because if God would allow that, why would you believe in it? And that's why I don't understand, like, some people, too, who don't believe in God. Like, there's some people who have gone through so much. When I tell you so much, I'm talking about so much. And they still believe. And you who probably went through some things, but not probably as much as others, why don't you believe? Anyway, that's their problem and their issue and their walk and journey. So I'm not going to judge. I wonder, but I'm not going to judge because I'm not in their position. I'm not in their place. But I know that if you're able to embrace God despite of problems, despite of the issues you face, you can seem so powerful in the eyes of the devil. He's going to be like, what the heck do I need to do to get at this person? Right? It's like you will defeat him if you can conquer your doubts and conquer all these temptations and all the problems that you have. And people will look at you and be like, wow, I just can't. Like, how does she do this? And how can I get some of this power? Right? This invincibility. And that's what Moses said to God to tell him why he could not destroy the people. He says, listen, after all the stuff that you've done for us in front of these other nations, what is it going to look like if you destroy us? Like, what are they going to think? They're going to think, you left us, so you can't do that. And God will hear, that kind of talk. Like, it's true. After doing all these things, like, for you and through you, people who are watching you know that you're his. I know when I was in nursing school, that's why I told God, I said, oh, you want me to fail? If I fail, you fail. Like, duh, like, what are you doing? Okay? Everybody knows I'm a Christian. So when I fail a test and I don't do well, they're going to be like, where is your God? So I had to remind God of who he was and who he made me to become because he was embarrassing me. I'm just saying. I was like, Jesus, don't do this. Don't do this to me. People are watching. People are watching us. Okay? And you have to remind him sometimes of what his role is in your life. And like David said, listen, if you take me out, who's going to give you my kind of praise? Can't nobody praise you like I praise you. And everybody knows how David praised the Lord, okay, with the dancing and Timberland and Timberlands, whatever the instrument is. Timble and dance, that thing, whatever. Anyway, so you have to tell God the same thing too sometimes. Like, if you take me, who's going to do for you what I do for you? Because everybody is unique. Everybody has their own way of serving God, okay? Everybody has their own service, their own mission, their own purpose. Everybody is different. So even though you look at someone, you're like, oh my gosh, you're so connected. Their connection and your connection are two different connections. So don't envy them and tell God, remind him of your position and your role in this world that we live in and how you have a whole group of people watching you, and I have a whole group of people watching you. I cannot affect the people you can affect. I told a friend of mine when I was in college, she was like, oh my gosh, Nicola, you're so talented, you're so this, you're so that, and oh my gosh. I'm like, dude, like, you have talents too. And as a matter of fact, you can do things I can't. And then it's true, because like the people who liked her didn't like me. And the people who liked me, they liked her too. I'm just saying. But it's like, we have different reach. And I tell even my sister, we were talking, her experience and my experience are so different. The things that she's overcome and the things that I've overcome, two different things. There are similarities, but there are some big differences. And that is what makes the separation, the difference in our praise and worship and our connection with the surroundings that we live in. People will hear me say something and they might believe me because they know my life. Or they might not believe me because they know my life. The same thing with another person who lived a different lifestyle than I did. They will believe you or not believe you. They will connect you or not connect you because of who you are in their eyes, right? So be connected to God. Allow him to help you so that you can look the part, even if you don't feel the part, right? Invincibility has to do with a feel and a look, and it has to do with both myself and what other people think. Okay, so I hope that God had blessed you the week past and he will bless you the week to come. I hope you have a beautiful Sabbath ahead. Blessings to you and all of your loved ones. Bye.